Hello all, and welcome to the second of two topic lectures for today's topic of religion. This lecture will look at magic and mystery cult in Rome. So first, let's look at the difference between religion and magic and mystery cult. So religion was state sanctioned, whereas magic and mystery cult was not state sanctioned. Religion was transactional and businesslike with that do et des philosophy that we talked about, whereas mystery cult and magic were more personal. In state religion, everyone was expected to participate, whereas with magic and mystery cult, especially mystery cult, you had to be initiated in order to participate. Finally, religion was done in open. Everyone could see you do it, and it was okay that you were doing it, versus magic and mystery cult, which were done in secret. So first, let's look at magic. So there's not one definition of magic in the ancient world. There's a variety of terms referring to its different aspects, but the scholarly definition is a manipulative strategy to influence the course of nature by supernatural or occult means. Magic is essentially based on secret knowledge of sources of power. The secretive and asocial aspect of magic means that it was treated with suspicion and condemned by the state. In fact, many official religious rites, especially in Rome, contained magical elements, which were accepted because, and as long as they were publicly executed on behalf of the state. In the private sphere, however, magic's very secretiveness and association with the asocial or even antisocial goals fostered suspicion and condemnation. So now let's see a clip of magic from HBO's Rome.
Gods of the Junii, with this offering I ask you to summon Tyche, Megara, and Nemesis, so that they witness this curse. By the spirits of my ancestors, I curse Gaius Julius Caesar. Let his penis wither, let his bones crack. Let him see his legions drown in their own blood. Gods of the Inferno, I offer to you his limbs, his head, his mouth, his breath, his speech, his hands, his liver, his heart, his stomach. Gods of the Inferno, let me see him suffer deeply, and I will rejoice and sacrifice to you.
In this scene, we see Servilia, Julius Caesar's girlfriend, making what is known as a curse tablet, though not very accurately. So in ancient Rome, people frequently put curses on their enemies and consecrated them to the spirits of the underworld. The procedure was to write the name of the intended victim on a tablet, usually a lead tablet, to make the consecration. You were to address either one or several of the gods of the underworld in a do et des situation. You then stick a long nail through the name of the intended victim in order to bind that curse to them. Sometimes a rough sketch of the hated person was also included on the tablet and was pierced with many long nails. And these tablets were then usually placed in tombs or in wells so that they might be close to the underworld spirits. So let's look at some examples of curse tablets. This one is a death curse and reads, "May he be seized so that you may render him without feeling, without memory, without the ability to perform rites, without marrow, may he be," then the text breaks off. "I commit you to Silvanus, whom a womb bore, so that you may take him and restrain him, his deeds and his concerns. I commit him to you so that you may render him dead, so that you may deposit him in Tartarus." Now we have a curse against pimps, bawds, and prostitutes. It reads, "Cargus, Blastos, Nicander, Glycera. I bind Carcas and the speech and the actions of Carcas and his, her tongue." We don't know if this was a male or female. before bachelors, and whenever they read this, only then may Caerchus have the power to speak. I bide Theon, himself and his girl, and his trade and his work opportunities, and his work and his speech and his deeds. Underworld Hermes, perform this act of restraint and keep reading this so long as these people live. People would also sometimes curse thieves. In this one, the person writing this tablet is writing against the thief who stole his bowl. The one who has stolen my bronze bowl is accursed. I gave the person to the temple of Sulis, whether woman or man, whether slave or free, whether boy or girl, and may the man who did this pour his own blood into that very bowl. I give you that thief who stole the item itself for the god to find, whether woman or man, whether slave or free, whether boy or girl. Now we have an attraction curse tablet, which we have quite a few of. So Pausanias binds Syme, daughter of Amphitrite. May no one except Pausanias undo the spell until she does for Pausanias everything Pausanias wants. May she not be able to lay hands on sacrificial victim of Athene, nor may Aphrodite look kindly upon her before Syme holds Pausanias tight. Yet again, we have another erotic curse here. I bind you, Theodotus, daughter of Eus, to the snake's tail, the crocodile's mouth, the ram's horns, and the ass's poison, the cat's whiskers, and the god's appendage, so that you may never be able to have sex with another man, not be screwed or buggered or give oral sex, nor do anything that brings you pleasure with another man, unless I alone, Ammonion, am the man. Accomplish this erotic binding spell, this one that Isis used, so that Theodotus, the daughter of Zeus, may no longer submit to penetration by a man other than me alone. Ammonion, the son of Heritaris, dragged in slavery, driven crazy, taken to the air in search of Ammonion, the son of Hermiatris, and that she may apply her thigh to my thigh, her genitals to my genitals, for sex with me for the entire span of her life. Finally, we have here a figurine that actually follows ancient instructions for making a curse tablet pretty perfectly. So these instructions read, take wax or clay from a potter's wheel and form two figures, male and female. Make her with her arms behind her back and resting on her knees. Attach something belonging to the victim to her neck. Take 13 copper needles and stick one in her brain, saying, I pierce your brain, 2 in her ears, 2 in her eyes, 1 in her mouth, 2 in her stomach, 1 in her hands, 1 in her sexual organs, 2 in the soles of her feet, all the while saying, I pierce whatever part of so-and-so, and then take a lead tablet and write the same spell on it and recite it. In addition to these curse tablets, there were also witches. Romans definitely believed in witches. Horace features the witch Canidia in 3 of his poems, which unfortunately are none of the ones in our books, though Canidia was believed to be based on a real-life woman named Gratidia. Canidia was a woman who engaged in magical rites of questionable morality, a kind of saga or maga, 2 words for witch, that symbolized the dark side of religion and power that was the very antithesis of the ethical ideals Augustus was promoting. In Horace Satires 1:8, in the Gardens of Maecenas, she and her accomplice Sagana engage in nighttime secret rituals that combine elements of divination, love magic, and other rituals to perform a pastiche of magical malevolence that must have seemed laughable to Horace's audience. A pit excavated for animal blood, sacrifice, immolation of magic figurines, invocation to underworld divinities, collection and burial of esoteric organic items, and self-binding with cloth armbands. To quote Horace, who is speaking from the point of view of a statue in the garden, I've seen Canidia myself, wandering barefoot with her black robe tucked up and disheveled hair, howling with the elder Sagana, pallor making them hideous to view. They scraped at the soil with their nails, then set to tearing a black lamb to bits with their teeth. The blood ran into the trench so they might summon the souls of the dead, spirits to give them answers. There was a woolen doll there, and another of wax. The wool one was larger to torment and crush the other. The wax one stood like a suppliant, waiting slave-like for death. Scholars have argued that this poem is used to prove in the end that witches are nothing more than old women, toothless, without hair, and fleeing in fright from the fart of the speaking statue that scares them away. Now let's move on to mystery cults. Mystery cults are called such because their special mark was an initiation ritual which was secret, precisely a mystery. In the Roman world, mystery cults stood in stark contrast to the state religion. The aim of the mystic form is best contrasted with that of the collective, integrative, and political value of sacrificial civic religion. The individual seeks through possession or madness to transcend the constraints of the everyday and become a member of a privileged but temporary community of bliss. This participation in such cults was voluntary, unlike the mandated involvement in civic cults, but it meant that which cult a person joined was up to them. So those looking for a more personal experience with a god might choose to seek out a mystery cult in addition to participating in the state religion. Becoming a member of such an association did not preclude taking part in official public cult, whether state or civic, or initiation to other mysteries. There was no difficulty about being able to accept new religious ideas while continuing to believe in the old one. Usually these religions were brought to Rome by people from the East who came as enslaved or as merchants and brought their religion with them. Also, soldiers who were posted in garrisons in far-off lands would pick up the local religion and then bring it home. Members of these cults were often attracted by promises of immortality and the appeal of belonging to a group of holders of secret knowledge. Although the ritual and beliefs, etc., of most of these cults is still a mystery to us, they've left their mark through archaeological evidence. The first cult we'll focus on is that of Isis. So Isis was originally an Egyptian goddess. A crucial myth in traditional Egyptian religion, which helped to explain their funerary customs and ideas about death, involved Isis, her brother and husband Osiris, and their brother Set. Osiris was initially ruler of Egypt, much beloved by his subjects for his goodness and wisdom. He taught human beings about agriculture, the arts, and other life-improving knowledge. As a result, Set became jealous and decided to murder his brother. He built a chest specifically tailored to Osiris's measurements, and at a party offered it to whoever best fit inside it. When Osiris tried it out, Set slammed the chest shut and threw it in the Nile. Isis searched for the chest and eventually found it, but Set again interfered, dismembering Osiris's body and scattering the pieces throughout Egypt. The grieving widow Isis tirelessly searched for the pieces and then reassembled them, all except the penis, which had been swallowed by a fish. Isis thus managed to make the first mummy and through magic resurrected her husband and conceived a son, Horus. Osiris then went to the land of the dead to reign as its king. Isis in the meantime raised Horus in secret to keep him safe from Set. The son's goal was to avenge his father, and he engaged in a violent fight with his uncle, in which both were grievously wounded. Set stole one of Horus's eyes, sometimes said to be the sun. The rest of the gods held court in order to settle this bitter feud and ultimately decided in favor of Horus and Osiris. Since Osiris had assumed the role of king of the underworld and judge of the dead, Horus took over his father's former role as king of the living. He gave his restored eye to his father and replaced it with the Uraeus, or divine snake. Set, now called the Evil One, was exiled. So converts to this religion found analogies between their own daily struggles and the arduous journey of Isis to find Osiris. This cult also had the promise of an afterlife, which was a plus because most standard Roman beliefs did not have a well-developed notion of an afterlife. Thus, this cult was based on Egyptian myth, but it also had many Roman aspects. It was especially popular among women since the main deity was Isis, a woman. We have part of its complicated initiation ritual preserved due to the author Apuleius, who depicts his main character getting initiated into the cult. According to him, initiates were purified by baptism and 10 days of fasting before being led to the most secret and sacred part of the temple. Rites that took place there have remained a secret, but some think they symbolically passed through the death and rebirth like Isis's husband. The priests of this religion shaved their heads, and the worshippers carried the sistrum, the rattle thing you can see in the statue's hand. A number of sites at Rome that were either temples or shrines to Isis, and the archaeological remains show the strong Egyptian influence that the religion retained. Our next mystery cult is that of Mithras. This cult was thought to be exclusively for men, and emphasized order, hierarchy, and duty. Due to this, it was popular with soldiers who became initiates. It originated in Persia, but took off in the 2nd century AD/CE in Rome. In Persian mythology, Mithras was sent by the god Ahura Mazda to kill a divine bull. He eventually slew the bull in a cave, and from the bull, all living things were created. Within this religion, prospective members went through grades of initiation before becoming full-fledged followers. The grades of initiation are Raven, Male Bride, Soldier, Lion, Persian, Runner of the Sun, and Father. The imagery of this cult also had lots of links with the zodiac and the stars. In fact, these stages of initiation might be linked to the astronomical bodies. In Italy, this cult was most popular in Rome and Ostia due to immigrants. It was also popular in several frontier zones in the northern region along the Rhine and Danube rivers and in Britain. How do we know this? Because of their ritual, where they did their rituals, the space called a Mithraeum, which was a long cave-like banquet hall with a statue of the god at the end. Now, I really love Mithraea, but due to their popularity in Ostia and Rome, they're actually one of the buildings for the building project. So I'll just leave you with this photo of one of the Mithraea found in Ostia. These are literally found in Rome and Ostia and then all along the frontiers in the north, suggesting that they did follow the soldiers. This is one of the mystery cults that is actually truly a mystery, as we know very little of its practices. References in later Christian sources say that they fasted for 50 days and had ordeals of wisdom. They also state that there was a ritual in which the initiate was blindfolded and had their hands tied together with chicken entrails, then had to jump over pits of water. But remember, Christian accounts of pagan rituals should be taken with a grain of salt. They're trying to make them look stupid. Finally, we have the cult of Bacchus. The Bacchanalia was the Roman festival of Bacchus, based on the ecstatic elements of the Greek Dionysia. It grew very popular in Rome, and once it did, the Senate felt threatened because they believed it was designed to rebel against their political views, and thus wanted to suppress the mystery cult to avoid any kind of rebellion against the Senate. We have an account of this scandalous cult in Livy, which, although treated with skepticism by scholars, alleges that there were frenzied rites, sexually violent initiations of both sexes, and that the cult was a murderous instrument of conspiracy. This same account also claims that 7,000 cult leaders were arrested and executed. This cult is a great example of the tension between state religion and mystery cult, and we actually have the text of a Senatus Consultum de Bacchanalibus, or the Senate's decree about the Bacchanalia. Here's a translation of the Senatus Consultum by Nina E. Weston. Regarding the Bacchanalia, it was resolved to give the following directions to those who are in alliance with us. No one of them is to possess a place where the festivals of Bacchus are celebrated. If there are any who claim that it is necessary for them to have such a place, they are to come to Rome to the Praetor Urbanus, and the Senate is to decide on those matters when their claims have been heard, provided that not less than 100 senators are present when the affair is discussed. No man is to be a Bacchanalian, neither Roman citizen, nor one of the Latin name, nor any of our allies, unless they come to the Praetor Urbanus, and he, in accordance with the opinion of the Senate expressed when not less than 100 senators are present at the discussion, shall given leave. Carried. No man is to be a priest. No one, neither man nor woman, is to be an officer to manage the temporal affairs of the organization, nor is any of them to have charge of all the common treasury. No one shall appoint either man or woman to be master or act as master. Henceforth they shall not form conspiracies among themselves, stir up any disorder, make mutual promises or agreements, or interchange pledges. No one shall observe the sacred rites, either in public or in private or outside the city, unless he comes to the Praetor Urbanus, and he, in accordance with the opinion of the Senate, expressed when no less than 100 senators are present at the discussion, shall have given leave. Carried. No one in a company of more than 5 persons altogether, men and women, shall observe the sacred rites, nor in that company shall there be present more than 2 men or 3 women, unless in accordance with the opinion of the Praetor Urbanus and the Senate as written above. See that you declare it in the assembly for not less than 3 market days, that you may know the opinion of the Senate. This was their judgment. If there are any who have acted contrary to what was written above, they have decided that a proceeding for a capital offense should be instituted against them. The Senate has justly decreed that you should inscribe this on a brazen tablet, and that you should order it be placed where it can be easiest read. See to it that the reveries of Bacchus, if there be any, except in the case there be concerned in the matter something sacred, as was written above, be disbanded within 10 days after this letter shall be delivered to you in the 2 riding in field. And on your screen now is the example of one of those bronze plaques.